Hi, everybody, and welcome to GamePunx.
I'm Ben.
I'm Ryan, and happy Snowflake Day.
Yes.
Everybody knows, of course, that Snowflake Day is the secular celebration that we celebrate around this time of the year. All those other holidays, I'm sorry to say, have been chucked off into the water to drown in the iciness of their specificity.
Yes.
So now everybody is included. It's Snowflake Day, and this is just a secular holiday that we have.
And a secondary note, congratulations to our friends of color who gained superpowers yesterday.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, good job on that.
If you have to commit any kind of white genocide, don't worry about it. I might even help you out.
I won't take it personally.
I won't take it personally. It's all good. Man, it's been quite the week. A lot of jokey fun to be had about a particular company and their particular game, which we will get into. Believe me, we will get into it.
Yeah, I can't believe Nintendo's been treating Smash like that, but
ooh,
that's another one.
But let's I think just start off with like what we played, because it's been I don't know, a couple of days, I suppose, and I'm sure at some point or another we had to sit down and just kind of power our way through something or watch something.
Yeah, I have to think, actually, because I know I watched a couple of horror Christmas movies that I'll get into very deeply.
I watched a horror Christmas thing that wasn't a horror movie, but it horrified the shit out of me, which I don't mind talking about. But first, I just want to talk about Bug Fables, because I'm going through that game at a pretty rapid pace now. I'm towards the end of it, and I've cleared most of the side quests, but I just want to talk a little bit about like the amount of side quests that exist in this game, and how they all serve primarily to flesh out the characters and world in a really, really unique fashion that I appreciate immensely.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the side quests, you're rewarded lore books. And these lore books give like extensive explanations on the world of Bug Fables.
Yes, I love lore delivered in that way. Where it's like, here's a side quest and a huge fucking lore dump, and you're just like, yes!
Fucking fascinating. The whole premise of this world, it seems, is that like these magical crystals appeared in the area where all these bugs live, and granted certain insects a level of like sentience and language that they previously hadn't experienced, as well as longevity. So a lot of them can live pretty significantly long periods of time for bugs. But it also like made it like some other species degenerated into monsters. So that explains like the difference between like, say, some of these weird like bugs that you fight that are kind of presented to you in these RPG conventions as like demons or dragon kind of analogs.
Yeah.
Like there's a giant millipede you fight at one point called the Beast. But it's clear it's just a giant millipede. But the way that these bugs see it and at the scale you're at, to them, this thing is a fucking, like it's a hydra, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's so big. But yeah, no, they go into like the history of the world, seeing how like, okay, so now that all the bugs had sentience, they organized their societies around the ways they were already naturally structured, but now they have the ability to like make armor and craft like actual functioning cities. So they haven't kind of revealed what the origin of all of this magic is. Maybe they won't, which is fine. I don't mind that they don't. It's just more like a conceit for this world to just exist upon. But I like that the devs went out of their way to just kind of flesh out the world to that extent. Because, like, something that this game does better than Paper Mario, which is the game that it's directly inspired by, is make this world genuinely feel interconnected. The Paper Mario games, especially Thousand Year Door, do have a sense of interconnectivity, but there is also this kind of, I don't know, this walled off feeling that certain areas in those games have that make them feel pretty separate from the main game. Some parts of them feel like they take place in like an almost a separate reality.
Okay.
Especially the Thousand Year Door, when you go to places like Twilight Town, where the moon, it is called Twilight Town, where the moon is just perpetually out and it's always like dusk. And it's just like, okay, but nowhere else in the world is it always dusk. And not that I'm demanding Mario give me an explanation, but when it comes to like world building and RPGs, and there's like some weird anomalous scenario going on in one corner of the world, typically I expect some level of explanation. And because it's Mario, I forgive it because it's literally Mario. The fact that Paper Mario exists is a miracle in itself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like beg the people at Intelligent Systems to give me the lore dump on why Twilight Town is always dark. But because Bug Fables has almost the advantage of being a smaller game made by an independent dev team working with like the basis of Paper Mario, they have created a world that fully feels interconnected with the others. Like everything is kind of organized around the hub city of like the Ant Kingdom, and then in every other direction, branching out into many different paths, you can access a bunch of other places. Like they call them the wild I think it's like the wild grasslands, which is like where the grass is like so high that it might as well just be trees to these bugs, right?
Yeah.
And it's like kind of a rainforest. There's also like the Termite Kingdom, which is just kind of in this foggy, rocky kind of alcove, and to a bug it's like a series of canyons and deserted settlements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to a human, it's just a fucking pile of rocks.
Well, setting wise, it seems to rival almost Hollow Knight in the bug sense, right?
It's exactly. It's all to the scale of insects, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to one area of the game, the Beehive or the Bee Kingdom, you have the opportunity to use a telescope that looks out on the scale of the world, and you see all these things that everybody's talking about finally from the perspective of like a human, because you're seeing it from this high vantage point. And even if you're the size of a bug, everything starts to make sense to you. This place they call Metal Island is like a button, like a metal button floating in some water. And this place that's like a desert to them is just a child's sandbox that has broken off on certain sides, so it spills into the other areas, which is how you get into the desert from certain places. But when you go to one place, it's like, oh, what is this big red wall? And then you look at it from the sky, and it's like, oh, no, it's just the barrier around a sandbox.
Amazing.
It's really cool.
I fucking love
that. They're continuously talking about a place called the Giant's Lair, which I can only imagine
That's
is probably a human house.
Yeah.
Right? So all of this stuff is really, really cool. It's just exploring these parts of the game through the side quests is great. Another cool thing about the side quests is you can do bounty missions to hunt like different powerful enemies that are completely optional. In fact, this game is like really good at keeping all of the content that people might not be interested in playing optional, but if you do play it, like it's totally there, easy to access, and super fun. There's like from the get-go, you're given a badge, or a medal. They call them medals in Paper Mario. They're badges. You're given a medal that you can equip for 0 medal points, so you don't need any points to equip it. But what it does is it allows your characters to basically deal the same amount of damage they always deal, but take more damage, and for enemies to do more damage, but in return you get more experience points. So it's effectively like a hard mode that you can immediately turn on and off at a whim. You don't need to even go to a menu, really. It's just a matter of equipping and unequipping an item.
Okay.
And you can do all that, and like changes the difficulty of every enemy encounter, but it does, like I said, also reward you with more experience, so you level up faster for your harder work.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But even if you leave it off, the game is perfectly beatable. But there's like a bunch of great super bosses that you fight, or not super bosses, but difficult bosses that you can fight during these bounty missions. And going around and kind of stumbling into them is really cool. Oftentimes there's these 2 characters who are like other monster hunters that are a part of your Explorers Association. And they're always like in front of a place that's potentially a monster lair. So you know that when you see them, you're probably close by to some weird beast. And as you go through the game and your abilities level up and you can kind of maneuver around the world differently and manipulate objects with new powers, you start to find these little hidden areas and access them. And in these areas, you suddenly encounter powerful bosses. Like I was finally given access to like a submarine that I can use to go around the puddle that's basically a lake to them, which is really cool. You're in this little toy bug-sized submarine, and I go to this place off to this side that's just like a little island, and I go onto it, and after a couple of minutes of exploring the island, I run into one of these bounty bosses, and I fight it. It's a giant peacock spider, which is really cool. And yeah, there's like a whole bunch of cool optional things in this game that, like, if you take your time to explore and to do them, like, you get so much payoff. You can buy a house, so you don't ever have to go back to the inn, which I did do. Mm-hmm. You can complete all three of the main characters' kind of side stories and get new abilities for them, and also learn more about their backstories. So one of them is making one of the characters reconcile with their sister, who they had kind of had a really bad falling out with. The other one is to discover the mystery behind a character's past because they're an amnesiac. And the other one is to kind of explore this other character's past because he has a past he doesn't want to talk about.
All right, so like kind of standard RPG stuff. But...
Standard RPG stuff, but of course, because these characters are so likable...
It makes it fun.
You get super invested in wanting to see their stories play out. So yeah, I'm 2 out of the 3 of those missions done. I've only got the main character, Kabu, left to do, but I don't get access to that until I believe I beat the game, so it's a little bit of post-game content.
Okay,
but yeah, Bug Fables and the Everlasting Sapling, guys, if you can like get your hands on this game, I highly recommend it. You can also buy the soundtrack on Bandcamp. Really great soundtrack. I was like listening to it this morning when I was getting ready for work, but there's like a battle theme for like the Wasp Kingdom, who are like the primary antagonists. And their music has a bit of like that Flight of the Bumblebee kind of frantic.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Kind of like something a little bit like that, but it's like really listenable and really, really great. And I always have that stuck in my head whenever I fight the wasps. I'm like, try not to groove to this music while I fight these relatively difficult enemies.
You keep talking about this game, and all I can think is Hollow Knight RPG.
It is basically, and that's not. What if somebody looked at the appeal of something like Hollow Knight and was like, okay, but what if it was Paper Mario?
Yeah, like, see, that's the
that
thing.
is exactly
not
kind
like
of how it feels.
Oh, they're ripping it off or blah blah blah.
No, not at all.
I think it's a very good like idea too to use something like bugs. Because you can develop such a cool world that takes place in present day.
Yeah, from the perspective
very
of a bug,
mystic and like magical, right?
Exactly.
But it's just it's right out. It's in your backyard right now. But
one of my favorite things, like one of my favorite trends in fiction, which probably, or one of, I guess not trends, one of my favorite conventions in fiction is non-human characters mythologizing the human world from a distance.
Yeah,
and it's something that I love about, say, Watership Down, which is like one of my favorite novels of all time. It's something I like from the book Silverwing by Kenneth Opel, in which bats are the main characters, and you see the ways in which they view their relationship to humanity as something akin to like mysterious gods who pluck them out of their lives to like put tracking devices and stuff on them and scientific instruments. Like, I love the ways in which we depict non-human characters. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it is.
I think the biggest one for me in that non-human characters looking up to human characters and it being like fucking wonky is Nier Automata.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like that's the
way that all the automatons in Nier Automata mythologize
even the
androids,
past. even 2B, even the resistance androids.
They genuinely kind of don't understand humanity because they're so post-humanity that the distance of that era makes humans look like unknowable, untouchable gods or mystical figures.
Yeah,
it's a fascinating storytelling convention, and it works exceptionally well in games like Hollow Knight and in games like Bug Fables.
Yeah.
So, if you guys want to play a great RPG, please check out Bug Fables. It's so freaking good.
I'm going to have to pick it up once I clean up my list a bit, because my list is getting messy.
I know how you mean. I need to go and buy Umurangi Generation now because it just came out on Switch. That's that Jet Set Radio style photography sim, first-person cyberpunk photography game. Yeah, it just came out on Switch, so I'm gonna play the shit out of that.
You got to keep an eye out.
Also has a great soundtrack.
You got to keep an eye out too for the spiritual successor for Jet Set Radio, which I don't remember the name of now. But,
that's the one that's coming out from a lot of the people who worked on it.
Yeah. Who
that looks excellent.
That looks amazing.
I'm really, really excited for
there's
that.
a bunch of cool shit coming out next year.
Sega's not going to make Jet Set Radio. They're going to fucking make it themselves.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so let's go on to some creepy Christmas horror things. I want you to start out with your real horror movies. Well, because then I want to talk about the thing that I watched that was fucking horrific.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just knock the games I played out a bit.
Sure.
I don't have much to say. I've been keeping up with Like a Dragon, but I haven't had much time this week because it was a very busy work week for me. And then I just kind of played fighting games with friends because I was like, I don't have to pay attention to story. I kind of want to just practice some combos. Scorpina's fun. I think she might be a mainstay on my team if I can get her better, because her gameplay is a bit strange. Like her combo paths are not what I'm used to.
See, that's the thing. That was the biggest sticking point for me when I started trying to play her. I was just kind of like, her combos are a little weird.
They are. Her launcher isn't
weird.
Her launcher looks like it would be OTG, which is off the ground, but it's not. The character actually has to still be in air or standing neutral.
Super odd.
So it's very strange, but it's not that odd because not a lot of people's launchers are OTG. It's just hers looks like it would be, but it's not, and you're like, okay, so this isn't working. So I have to, like, the timing is strange, and also just the combo pathings for most of her, like, bread and butter and even optimal shit is very, very weird. But I have figured out some pretty cool shit where there's a fun thing where you can juggle like 2 or 3 times and then just hold the super and it just blasts the character, and I think it does like 75 damage in one string. So that's pretty cool. I like Scorpina so far. I'm probably going to keep her. She do be crazy.
Who's your typical setup now?
Well, my mains I would say that I'm most comfortable with is Jen. 100%. Like Jen's probably my strongest character. I have Jen. I have RJ. I tried Quantum Ranger for a bit, but it didn't really work out. Jason's kind of my mainstay now. I did Tommy a bit at the beginning, but a little less now. I don't really remember Tommy's stuff, but Jason's juggles are fun and pretty easy to execute.
I feel Jason is always on my team because I just thought he's a fun character to play.
Yeah, Jason's pretty like high tier too, and like just it's because the execution of his combos are pretty easy, so it's kind of hard to fuck up, and like there's enough there that you can like tag and. You can't really get a TOD, but you can do like a good amount of health if you're carrying across the screen. And like his bread and butter combo string to the corner can basically always you can always end it on a super. So he's pretty fun. I like Jason, but yeah, usually it's Jason, RJ, and Jen, but now it's Jason, Jen, and Scorpina. Scorpinta. So yeah, that's been happening. Me and my friends got back into Street Fighter 5.
Ooh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's
all I have to say is, can we get an F in the chat for Ben?
I think I explained it best on Twitter when I was like, if I ever have to explain a love-hate relationship, I'm just gonna start talking about Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, it is
or Dragon Ball Fighters, but
the dictionary definition of having a love-hate relationship with something.
But yeah, it's still very fun, and like I'm still very good with G and Casablanca.
I always say Blanca.
Yeah, well, it is Blanca, but it's just I've been meme joking my friends and just saying Blanca so much to annoy them that I've just started saying Blanca, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. So Blanca, yes, I'm a Blanca main. I'm sorry.
Sorry to disappoint the public.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm a G main technically.
Kill your heroes.
Kill your heroes. Trust no one. We're all horrible. And other than that, I've been playing also some Uni, and that game remains good too. Very good fighting game. Not much to say there. Good. But I've been mostly playing Monster Hunter World.
Yeah. Let's hear all about Monster Hunter World because holy shit. I I super duper want to get into Monster Hunter, and I was watching a bunch of playthroughs of Monster Hunter World the other day, and I was just like, damn, why can't I have a console that this game is on?
Well, you're gonna have Monster Hunter Rise, and that's basically the next thing. So,
which is what I'm super excited to get, because it looks really fun.
Yeah, no, it does. It looks very good. They seem to be doing a very good job with that.
It'll be the first MH game I've ever bought. It's not the first I've ever played. I've played a bunch of the other games, but the first I'll have ever owned on my own.
Yeah, well, if you don't have at least 150 hours in a Monster Hunter game, you haven't played a Monster Hunter game.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
That's what I've been told. I used to play the multiplayer and try with my friend on the Wii.
Yeah, the
on
Wii.
the damn Wii.
The Wii.
Playing Monster Hunter Try on the Wii. And I did play like a significant amount of the demos for all of the ones on 3DS. Every time they released a demo, I was like, oh, I wants to play that. And then I never fucking bought the game for whatever stupid reason, because they were really good versions of those games.
Yeah, they were. The 3DS games, that's actually where I got my start, was with 3U, and I would play with my roommate in the days. And like, just to give you a parkour of my Monster Hunter history, is I started with 3U. I know some stuff about the older ones, but I've never actually played them. Mm-hmm. Because why would you go back? Quality of life is things that I don't like degrading, especially not for like a Monster Hunter game. Like, I don't think I'm missing out on lore or experiences, really. So
yeah,
I don't think I'm going to go back to those old PS2
Monster Hunter
games.
is not necessarily known for being a lore-heavy series.
The Monster Hunter world lore is, hey, there's a fucking monster here. It's fucking shit up in the ecosystem. Let's go kill it. Oh god, we killed it. The ecosystem is worse, and the monster is bigger and madder. Whoops. Kill it again. So yeah, Monster Hunter lore is passable. But yes, anyway, so my parkour is Monster Hunter 3, I think I had like 1,000 hours in or some shit. Monster Hunter 4, I had like another 600 to 800 hours. And now on Hunter World, which I actually just really started playing this week, I have 47.5 already.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. And you were like, I didn't even have too much time to play this week.
Well, it's because it's just Monster Hunter. Some of these quests take no shit 40 minutes if you're doing them alone.
I just find it really funny, because that is so Monster Hunter, actually, where you just like, yeah, I didn't have much time to play anything this week, so I got 47% through Monster Hunter.
Yeah. 47.5 hours in,
That sounds about right. That sounds about right for Monster Hunter, yeah.
So yeah, and my good friend Connor bought me the Iceborne expansion today for Krampus. So thank you, Connor, because we polished off the air quotes base game of World. I still have like a bunch of shit to do in World. That's the thing, right? There's the storyline, and then you hit credits, and then it's like, well, keep killing things and grinding out gear so that you can get your hero rank up. And go to G rank, and G rank is really where shit like gets real, right? Where like the actual game begins, which is kind of a wall for people sometimes. They're like, I don't want to put this much time in a game. And I'm like, fair enough. I play fighting games. I'm used to it. Like, hold on, let's see. Power Rangers. I have 62 hours in Power Rangers. I have 66 hours in Street Fighter 5. Right, like I'm used to. I have 12 hours in uni. That kind of thing. I'm used to pumping multiple hours into a game that the main reason for the game is hit it until it dies. And don't get hit. So yeah. But yes, Monster Hunter World, good, fun. I have some issues with Monster Hunter World, and it's mostly in the topography of the maps, because it's not something I'm super used to in the Monster Hunter games. Usually they're very like flat maps. There'll be some levels where you can climb up, but it's usually on the same plane, and you can like, you're not going to get lost. Whereas Monster Hunter World, the topography is a little, you get used to it, and I'm starting to get used to it now, where I'm like, oh, I can crawl through this crawl space. But if you're not used to it, you're like, I have to take this huge roundabout way, and like blah, blah, blah. It just seems confusing and like a maze. And That's probably one of my biggest gripes with World. Apart from the what is it called? The investigation quest, where you have to investigate a certain monster. So you'll have blue flies, and you have to find specific footprints for a monster before you can fight it.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, but
this is just the sort of shit that I wish I could be doing.
That's the thing. Like, it's cool. It's just that, like, my main problem with the blue ones is sometimes you're like, all right, I found, I think, everything that I can find, but you're like running around the map looking for like the last print because you have a meter you have to fill up before you can like fight the monster. So what I found was a good trick was you just leave the area and come back, and everything resets generally, and you just refine the footprints, and you can kind of grind that out to do it faster without getting lost. Because there was a couple of maps where I was like, I've been here for an hour and I can't find any more blue footprints. I'm gonna leave and come back. And I was like, okay, that works. Cool. So that was another like little gripe I have with the game, but other than that, very good game. It remains a Monster Hunter game. The monsters are actually like harder, which makes sense because they're more animated now, right? Like on the 3DS,
they were
they had to be generous with like the tells, right?
Like, I would say so. When you're playing a game on a smaller screen, you can't necessarily account for subtleties in animation.
Yeah, especially not
if you're
at
trying
30...
to render a 3-dimensional game on a 3DS
at 30 FPS with like some frame dipping sometimes. Like you know, so some of the tells
like
would be easier.
Those games were like in like 480 on the console at best.
God, yeah, I know.
Like they're you know, they're very impressive and ambitious games, and they play great.
They do.
But they're not exactly the peak of Monster Hunter.
I have 1,000 hours in 3U, so
yeah, for good reason. But yeah, they're not exactly peak Monster Hunter in terms of just the full potential of the series, because you're just not working on a console that you could do that on.
I would definitely say if you're trying to get into Monster Hunter, start with World or the next one, like Rise. I feel like they learned a lot from World.
Rise looks a lot like they're iterating on what was great in World, but like, to an extent, also going for that newcomer friendly thing too.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the Generations. Because
it does feel like Generations.
Because you had 3, and then you had Generations, and then you had 4, right?
Exactly.
And like Generations was kind of the like abridged. Here's some monsters, go kill them. I don't even know if that one had a storyline. I didn't really play it.
I know that Generations had kind of like a shonen manga aesthetic too.
Yeah, it had a very good demo, but that was as far as I got with Generations, because it was like 4's coming out soon.
I only played the demo of Generations as well, but I remember liking 4 better than Generations. But Rise looks like they're doing Generations, but with the new conventions of World.
Yeah, and that new monster they're introducing in Rise looks really fucking cool.
Oh my god, it looks awesome.
The mask thing is
looks so fucking cool. And of course, Rise is like going to be the game where, of course, they do a bunch of Nintendo collabs and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I can tell this game's going to have really good ass DLC.
Well, I mean, Monster Hunter World, there's a Final Fantasy 15 one where you have to fight Clue or whatever. I don't remember. The Monster Hunter naming convention's horrible and I hate it. But it's like basically this big bird, and it just gets like a life crystal and just gets bigger and bigger, and the chocobo music is playing the whole time you're fighting it, and I was just like, yes, they get it. There's also the Witcher quest line where Geralt shows up. Which pertains to what we're going to talk about later.
That was fucking weird that happened, wasn't it?
You know what's even weirder? The start for that quest is you show up at one of the you show up in the research base, and there's like this little golem-looking gremlin, and I've never played Witcher, so I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was on VC with voice chat with Connor at the time, because I was like, we had just beat the game, and I was just like figuring out all this endgame shit. And he's like, oh, that's the Witcher thing. And I was like, oh, what? Is fucking Geralt going to show up through a fucking portal and land right on top of me? And he was like, did that not happen? And then it happened as he said, did that not happen yet? And I was like, shut up. Shut up. Geralt just falls through a portal, like, basically in your lap. And you're like, I thought I was just going to find him out in the field or something.
Oh, boy.
But no, just specifically right where you were, Geralt shows up and is like, hey... There's some fucking monsters here that need killing. What is this? Some kind of Monster Hunter world?
They couldn't even bother to make it feel diegetic.
It was so funny. It was the funniest shit. But yeah.
Oh my fucking god! That's incredible. That's incredible. I admire their stupidity.
Yeah, after the podcast, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing more Monster Hunter, or maybe Like a Dragon, but I don't know. We'll see. I gotta polish off Like a Dragon too, because that is also a very fucking good game. I like how unconventional it is, because it's not like one of those RPGs where it's like, hey, 13-year-olds, time for you to go save the world. It's like Ichiban's like a 40-year-old. This is basically a midlife crisis, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He is 40.
Yeah.
So.
He's 40, and all his friends are like homeless and horribly poor, and you're just like, you know what? This is a refreshing take on like a hero story. Because most hero stories that come out of Japan, it's like, oh, the kid saves the chosen kid. It's your time to rise, right? Like, you got Tales of Symphonia, you fucking even Final Fantasy VII, like, just so many games. Because, like, in Final Fantasy VII, too, like, Sid's, like, 35, right? And he's, like, the worst piece of shit.
I think so. Yeah, he's about 35.
Yeah, 35, 40-ish maybe, but, like, I'd say mid-30s, I think, if I'm correct. But, yeah, you're just like, wow, this is really it, huh? Like, the oldest character is 30, and I'm like, I'm almost at 30, right? So it's just kind of like, oh, God.
How do you feel about that?
It's all right.
I do have to say I was laughing the other day when I was thinking, like, what was I playing when there was like, yes, okay, no, I was well, shit, what is it called again? Damn it, I've totally lost the plot of what I was gonna say, but I had a really funny, like, damn kind of like age moment regarding like an anime character. I don't remember who the fuck it was. I'm sorry.
It happens.
I'm a total failure, but you know when you find out like some character. Okay, yes, I remember now. I think it was Naruto related.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But I was like, oh damn, that means that character is that old. The fuck? Oof. Yeah, like it was Kakashi. Kakashi is like 26. He's 26.
I know.
26-year-old man.
It's fucked up.
Are you fucking kidding me? He's 26.
Yeah, anime reinforced this thing where like anyone over 30, you're basically dead. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Fuck it.
You get called old man constantly.
Give up.
I mean, I think it's in Tales of Vesperia, Raven is like the oldest character in your party, and I think he's only 35, and they're just like fucking old man, grandpa.
Shut up, you fucking boomer! Shut up, and you're like,
like,
oh.
Shut up, OG son, like go fuck yourself. I'm like, God damn, he's only 35. Making these men feel so fucking
rough
old.
out here, man.
It's crazy.
So yeah, that's why it's nice seeing Ichiban and his horribly, horribly poor piece of shit friends start their heroic adventure. And you're like, cool, there's still time. Alright, moving on to movies now.
Yeah, let's hear all about some Christmas horror movies that you watched.
Yeah, so me and my partner and Anthony all hung out for like a little small Christmas get-together.
Oh, that's nice. I'm glad that you guys got to do that before you get cracked down on.
Yeah, well, we were just like, oh, we'll get it out of the way.
That's good.
We knew we were all good, and we did a 3-movie marathon. We started with Black Christmas, which I had never seen before. All these movies, only one of the movies I'd seen before, which was the last one, and I'll get into that. I think I actually talked about it on the podcast the first time I saw it, which was about a year ago. Mm-hmm. A year and some change, maybe. Anyway, so we watched Black Christmas, mm-hmm. which is the
Christmas horror movie.
It is the Christmas horror movie, and it is the movie that John Carpenter ripped off for Halloween.
Yeah, directly, in fact.
Yes.
And he even admitted as much.
Yeah.
Because it was a cult classic. Even when it was released, it was immediately a cult classic.
Yeah, because it's fucking great.
Yeah, it is an amazing film.
It's also the first, like, The Call Is Coming From Inside the House movie.
It is literally, in many ways, the, like, primordial form of a slasher film.
Yeah.
Like it is the origin point of so many conventions, and especially 80s horror.
Yeah, and it's so strong even now. Like I watched it and I had a good time the whole way. The plot's a little confusing, but on a second watch through, you're kind of like, okay, I can piece this together a little better, right? Like Billy clearly is not a great person.
No,
he's not doing too good.
No.
Billy needs some fucking help.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And yeah.
It is
characters. Some of the characters are very likable. Other of the characters
God,
are
1974, complete... Ben.
Yeah, 74. It's
80s horror was still looking at this movie and going like, all of this shit, we need to do it again.
Yeah.
74, like half a decade, over half a decade.
Oh man,
in fact,
like forget
before
74.
Before
you
the
even
boom
have
of horror in the 80s, that was all this shit.
You even have references to it in Wes Craven's Scream, which came out in like 92.
Yeah, and it is a pretty interesting. I mean, it's a Canadian film, should be said.
Yeah,
and it is inspired by an urban legend called The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs.
Yeah,
which is kind of like an infamous like late 60s, early 70s kind of like a, what would you call it? Almost, I guess an urban legend is the right word for it.
Yeah, it's an urban legend.
But if it was like in contemporary times, it would be like a popular creepypasta or something.
Yeah. If it was well, yeah, that's basically just what urban legends have evolved into, because the internet has connected us so much that we're like, I heard that too, because obviously it's the internet, so there's just creepypastas now. But
exactly.
Like there's no like word of mouth urban legends anymore.
But yeah, it takes like, and this whole concept of the babysitter and the man upstairs literally becomes the basis for most slasher films going forward.
Yeah.
But even more so interesting, at least relating to us, is that it was actually also inspired by a series of real murders that took place in Westmount in Montreal.
Oh shit! Hold up, I didn't know about that.
It was.
That's fucking cool. Hold on.
How neat is that? It's actually even listed in the Wikipedia page.
Drop some goddamn knowledge, because that is fucking cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Hold up.
It's funny to think too, like the director of the movie, Bob Clark, who is like, he's kind of like a Canadian indie legend. Because he's not actually Canadian. He was an American director who found a lot of success in the Canadian film industry. But Black Christmas is his first, but he also directed another movie that I personally consider to be maybe one of the best horror films of all time, Death Dream. Have you ever seen or heard of Death Dream?
I've heard of Death Dream. It is on the watch list with Anthony.
Okay, you and Anthony, when you guys watch Death Dream, let's talk about it, because that is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so good. It is an amazing kind of monkey's paw story about the Vietnam War and the effect that Vietnam had on like the people who were conscripted and went out and willingly fought in this shitty war that just kind of sent them home fucking damaged and destroyed and ruined for life. Like it's an extremely anti-war movie, and it was made right after the Vietnam War, so it's how relevant and political for its time.
Amazing.
It's a really shocking horror movie. It's really good.
Theatrical distribution. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find the Westmount shit, because you have piqued my interest. I love true crime, right? Like,
it's cool. It's pretty interesting.
Fuck it, I'll find it after. All right, so Black Christmas. Yes, very good. I definitely want to rewatch it like probably every year now, because it just hit different. Yeah, like,
oh yeah,
even I'd say it's better than like some of the slashers, most of the slashers that came out in the 80s, which, I mean, that's easily said, because a lot of the slashers that came out in the 80s weren't great. But even some of the like classic slashers of the 80s, like I mean, Sleepaway Camp's great mostly for the end. I feel like the ending of Sleepaway Camp is what stays the most. Most of the Friday the 13th are this weird, like, self-indulgent, like, it's just dumb and fun. But this one was, like, both creepy and like mystifying, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know. It just
it's just a really compelling different movie.
Yeah, and like for things that came out in the 70s too, like I felt like the filmography, the cinematography, and
it's pretty next level.
Yeah, like it just even.
It's not in just its storytelling, but like in the language it uses, the cinematic language it employs.
Yeah, well, I mean,
so influential. Like how this is the movie that quintessentially taught filmmakers how to shoot a killer.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing too, and like you get a lot of you can see a lot of this in Friday the 13th Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the first person camera on the kills, and like they're still horrifying in Friday the 13th Part 1. But like you're like, oh, this is clearly where they got it from, because goddamn. And for me, one of the most like blatant things was just the zoom out on the window while Billy is still talking to himself in the attic, because for some reason they never check the attic. Mm-hmm. Which is a plot hole that you can overpass because it's a fucking horror movie and who cares. But like, just the whole time I was like, why would they not ever check the attic?
I mean, would you want to go in the attic?
No, but the cops search the whole house. There's a girl missing. Of course you check the goddamn attic.
But also, do you think the cops really give a shit?
Meh.
I mean, if they were based on the Montreal cops, then.
Yeah. They're like, oh, girl's missing? Okay.
They're missing? Yeah, well, whatever. She can go fuck herself. Goodbye.
Can she say bonjour ho? No? Okay, well, fuck her. I don't care. Yes,
I almost forgot about that shit. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
PQ. Anyway, fuck it.
But yeah, this shit is wild.
But yeah, that last shot where it's just zooming out of the I forget her name, but the girl who had the bag over her head, who's just like sitting in the window, and he's talking to himself still, and he's still in the house, and you're like, oh shit. God damn. It's so good. It's such like a fucking creepy shot. I don't know. It stuck with me. The second movie we watched, which was a little more self-indulgent and stupid.
Okay,
was Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Would you like to know another funny thing about Black Christmas?
Yeah, go for it.
It was supposed to be called Silent Night, Evil Night.
Oh, that would have sucked.
Imagine.
Yeah, originally titled Silent Night, Evil Night in the United States. No, it was titled Silent Night, Evil Night in the States.
So Silent Night, Deadly Night might even intentionally be crimping off of Black Christmas's U.S. name?
I don't know.
That's so funny.
I don't think so.
It has to have been.
I think that's I don't know. I feel like that's a fluke, because there is not a single thing the same at all. Because Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1 is basically... Just watch Part 2, because 50 minutes of the first movie are basically in the second movie as a recap. So you don't have to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1. You can just watch Part 2 and you basically get it. And essentially, I think the character's name is also Billy, ironically.
Oh boy.
They're driving home. His little brother's very young, and his little brother's the main character in the second one, which is making this very complicated, I know. But just stay with me. The movie opens, the littlest baby is recounting the story to a therapist of what happened with his brother and why he is now in the psychiatric ward. And essentially his older brother saw his dad and mother get killed by a Santa Claus who was broken down on the side of the road. Like probably a mall Santa, I guess. And it drove him a little nuts.
Just a little bit? Tiny little bit?
Where they were shoved into a, like, super Catholic or Christian, God, what is it called? Foster home? Or, like, in-between home, I guess? Because Because it wasn't a foster house. It's like the in-between of being adopted, I guess. Anyway, whatever. Anyway.
That's like a halfway house, right?
Yeah, halfway house.
Yeah.
So the... Oh, yeah, Westmount Neighborhood Murders. Sorry. So, yes. Hold on, I'm losing my fucking thread here. Goddamn. Okay, yes. The nuns, obviously super abusive and horrible. Horrible people. The man ages eventually, and he's still at, like, the nun house, but the head nun is like, oh, you're gonna go work at this mall. It's the only job they have, and you have to get over your fear of Santa, because, like, this kid just punched the shit out of every, like, mall Santa he ever saw. He just beats he freaks out every time, and, like,
I mean, whatever. Understandable.
Yeah.
The concept of mall Santas are rather creepy just on their own, but if you had some legitimate trauma attached to the concept of a mall
of course
Santa,
you're gonna fucking
imagine it would set your ass off.
Yeah. So yeah, this happens, and then fucking goddamn shitbag gets sent to the mall to work as a mall Santa, which I'm sure you can imagine goes super well. Everyone lives happily ever after, and that's the end of the movie. He goes on a killing spree, and then cops are looking for him, and his little brother is still at the orphanage because he was very, very small when this all happened. He has no Santa-related traumas. He's just kind of like, I'm here because my brother was here. Our parents got murdered. I don't know much because he was literally like 1, not even. He must have been like 5 months old when his mother and father were killed, but whatever. The movie makes a super dramatic thing where, like, all these cops are looking for all the Santas. They stop, like,
looking for all the Santas.
Yeah.
That is just a great sentence. I'm sorry.
You have this one shot of a Santa going into a house through the window, and the cops are like, "Holy shit!" and they kick the door open and run upstairs to the room, and, like, it's 2 children in their beds, and the Santa's coming in through the window, and they're just like, Daddy? And the cops have their guns drawn, and they're like, oh, damn, we're so stupid. And you're like, yeah,
you are. You're cops.
You're fucking horrible. But wait, it gets better, because then, cut back to the orphanage, a Santa is approaching the murderer's little brother, right? And, of course, the murderer is still in his Santa costume, because whatever. And then his little brother's like, brother, is that you? I don't know why he would think it's his brother, because it's this man in a Santa suit. He doesn't know anything, whatever. It's super weird that he's like, brother. Anyway, this cop just fucking barrels in, pops out of his car, and just shoots the guy in the back, who coincidentally wasn't the murderer, or it was just the janitor of the place. And then he gets yelled at by the nuns, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then for some reason begins, like, looking in the basement with his gun drawn for more Santas, just in case there's another Santa lurking around the orphanage. It's super weird. And all of this is the littlest brother retelling this story to his therapist, and by this time it cuts back to his therapist, who now has his throat slit, and he's like, ha ha ha, I'm going to leave now. And then he just goes on this slapstick comedy killing spree of, like,
I mean, that is basically what it is. Yeah, that's a very good description of it.
It's hilarious because there's one
and the
well, no, okay, hold on.
Would you say that this movie wants you to take this killing spree seriously, or is just going full on with the jokiness of it?
No,
because there are points in which I legitimately cannot tell what the tone of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is.
The scene where he shoots the man taking out his garbage, and he just, like, almost looks at the camera, and with his eyebrows fucking flaring left and right, like he doesn't have control over them, just goes, garbage day. Yeah, and you're like, am I supposed to take this seriously?
That's the thing, though. I wonder if, because there are other points in that movie, like other kills, where they're almost trying to kind of go for something dramatic. Because there's parts of the movie that feel like a trauma movie.
Yes, and then there's other parts that are like super serious.
Exactly. Which, like, there's other parts where it's they're trying to be like, I don't know if I want to say they're trying to be quite within the realm of something like Friday, but they're trying relatively hard for it to have like kind of like a spooky kind of like, oh, what's gonna happen? How's the kill gonna go? Give a shit about this kill. And it's like, I can't legitimately give a shit about this because it's really fucking funny.
My favorite kill, I think, is the ex-boyfriend kill, where he just connects the jumper cable to his ear and his eyes explode. His eyeballs explode through his sunglasses, and then his girl, like, the killer's girlfriend is like, "What the hell? Why did you do that? Blah blah blah." And he, like, I don't remember. He does something stupid. He like shoots her or stat. I don't remember, because I was laughing too hard about the eyeball explosion. But that's the thing where you're like, I don't know if this was supposed to be funny, but it is, and I appreciate it for it.
That's the thing, right? But yeah, though, especially those kills feel like they're straight out of like Nukem High.
Yeah.
Like they're Nukem High tier, and they're not as good as the Nukem High kills.
It's garbage day,
but like,
and his eyebrows are fucking going left and right.
They're
like
going everywhere.
God.
He looks so fucking stupid. He looks maniacal. It's so great.
It's funny.
But yeah, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is one of those like, that's one of those movies, you know?
Yeah,
one of those ones. I'm glad that you got to watch it at least.
Yes.
And as far as Christmas-themed horror movies go, it's one of the less conventional ones.
Yeah,
definitely. Because it's not necessarily about a killer who looks like Santa going around, which tends to kind of be the Santa suit knife-wielding maniac is like what people think about when they think Christmas horror movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And it totally bucks that convention, so I give them points for that.
The second one that third one, sorry. Yes, we are at the third movie now. The third movie that I saw was You Better Watch Out, which was one of Shudder's first original movies.
Yes, I heard about that one.
I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Well, I have to say that is a good title for a Christmas-themed horror movie.
It is, and it is probably my favorite Christmas-themed horror movie.
Ever?
Christmas-themed... On a whim right now, not thinking too hard, I'm going to say yeah.
Wild.
Christmas themed. So I'm not going to get too much in spoilers if you haven't seen it, because I feel like it would be a good watch. But what essentially I'm going to say is imagine Home Alone, but Kevin McAllister's the bad guy.
Okay. That's
about the best way
really
I can sell
really
it
fascinating.
Without like telling too much about it.
Yeah, don't tell me more, because just you telling me that and that it's maybe your favorite Christmas themed horror movie is enough of a sell. But I will watch this.
Yeah, because it was also Anthony's first watch, and there was just a couple of times where I looked over at him and he looked at me and I just nodded and we looked back at the screen.
That's okay. Kevin McAllister is the bad guy. That is fascinating, I have to say. Genuinely fascinating. I am really, really going to have to watch this. Like I said, the title, You Better Watch Out. That's an amazing title for a Christmas horror movie.
It's amazing.
That's fascinating. Holy shit.
It's as good as Black Christmas, honestly. Like, Black Christmas is pretty strong.
I mean, Black Christmas is like, it's particularly so great because you can see how everything that is good and bad later on took so liberally from it. But this just sounds good because the premise is totally unique. Or like it being a riff on another famous Christmas movie like that. Super cool. Super, super cool to me. So I'm going to have to watch the shit out of that, I think. Because that sounds genuinely fascinating.
Yeah, no, I recommend it super, super highly. And if I can't, yeah, well, since, like, I'm not going to spoil anything because there's a lot of shit that happens and twists and turns, and you're just like, it's like an edge of your seat the whole time movie sort of thing. I'm very satisfying.
I am thoroughly compelled. Thank you for the recommendation. Because that sounds great. I really need to get Shudder, I think, is what this all comes down to.
Yes, essentially.
Because Shudder is a really excellent service.
Shudder's
It's one of the few streaming services worth paying for. And not ripping off from your partner.
Yeah.
Who is lucky enough to have access to all of them. But yeah, I'm gonna check out Shudder. That sounds really good. And horror is one of those things that, like, I used to be super I mean, I still am a big horror person. I used to be super deep into horror, but my partner's actually really not into horror. So I haven't watched a lot of horror lately because the majority of my watching stuff is with them.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, it's typically like he's not super into it, so we don't watch a lot of it. Last horror movie I watched was The Woman in Black, which is okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's all right.
Daniel Radcliffe does.
He's good in that. That movie has beautiful sets.
Mm-hmm. The cinematography,
gorgeously designed movie. It looks
even the effects are pretty good. And I'm pretty sure they were practical.
They were all practical. Yeah, it was a Hammer movie after all.
Yeah.
So they're going for that old Hammer. I feel like the thing that Hammer did better than anybody else, even if you want to criticize like some of the storytelling choices, some of like the writing choices, some of like the anything like that creatively, like set that narrative stuff aside. The thing Hammer did better than anybody else. Those sets and those costumes, so good all the time. Because it was just like British period drama tier in terms of accuracy and quality. Like, they always had these fascinating sets. So that's what I liked about The Woman in Black. But yeah, that was the last significant horror movie I watched. So I think the next thing I'm going to watch is You Better Watch Out.
I highly recommend it. It's also on par with the times right now.
Yeah.
It's very festive.
Sounds really excellent. Well, speaking of things being on par with the times.
One thing.
Oh, yeah.
That I want to say. You know what? No, fuck it. Watch the movie. I'm not even going to say it.
Don't say anything. Really don't. Because I want people who haven't seen this to go into it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after you've seen it. For
sure. So, speaking of things that are of the season, seasonal views that are meant to terrify and scare you. I watched something which definitely terrified and scared me. I went back after a couple of years of not having watched it, and foolishly looking back on it fondly with almost kind of like a nostalgia, thinking like, oh man, it would be nice to go and watch that again. Well, I went back and I fucking regretted it immediately. I went back and I watched the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, we could talk about this because me and Anthony watched this like a week or two ago.
Christ almighty.
It is so bad. Why did they not subtitle the Wookiees?
Fucking bore.
Remember when Grandpa watches the VR
porn.
Sex?
Yeah, he watches VR sex dancing.
Like,
also, God,
this was a family time special.
More. I have never hated Wookiees more.
Oh, okay. I
love Wookiees. I think they're awesome. I have never hated them more than that whole fucking
God. Movie. There was a period in time where A New Hope and this were the only Star Wars media that existed. Ever.
Like, at the end, when they show, like, the trailer for Empire, it wigged me out because it snapped me back to the reality and the notion that, like, to a certain point, this is the only Star Wars shit that existed, and I'm like, oh my god!
Yeah, you also have pre-motorcycle crash Mark Hamill.
Yeah, which is a little surreal.
It's really strange.
He looks like super... He looked very waifish.
Yeah.
He looked very waifish and strange. You have a totally mentally checked out Harrison Ford who couldn't give less of a shit about this, and I don't blame him.
No, of course not. And then you have a completely coked out
Leia. Yeah, God, Carrie Fisher was. She has gone on record to say as much multiple times too.
Oh yeah, no,
she was just like, I was not fucking there.
I don't even remember filming this shit.
I don't remember this shit, so...
They spoon-fed me my lines through an earpiece.
That should tell you everything you need to know about, like, the level of quality going on here. But, yeah, the Star Wars Holiday Special, for people who are not aware or acquainted with it, I guess?
It is... if you really want to check it out, it is completely available on YouTube.
Yeah, it's free. It's like one of those things where, like, nobody cares about it.
Not even Disney cares.
Yeah, because they don't even want to talk about it. But... good God, is it just awful. It's basically like every TV star of the early 60s through to the mid 70s has like a little like minor cameo doing like a weird Star Warsy thing. Like B. Arthur is like the bartender at like a cantina.
Oh, God, yeah.
And the B. Arthur stuff is probably the least bad stuff in the whole thing, quite frankly. That and the cartoon. The cartoon is not good, but it's not bad either. But the stuff that really sucks in it is like everything. All of the stuff with the Wookiees.
The musical shit is fucking horrible. The
music is all awful. Like, not that the bands are all particularly bad choices, although
I
do particularly fucking hate Jefferson Starship.
Jefferson Starship is so shit.
They're awful.
And they have the fucking longest song, and it's not good. It doesn't even. Oh God.
Yeah, the little interludes with, like, these dancing things are awful.
The Boba Fett cartoon's the only, like, redeemable thing.
It's watchable. It's not good, but it's watchable.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The abstracted character designs are just, like, weird and, like, comics with an X enough for me to kind of get into them.
Well, I mean, it looks like those old heavy metal
magazine.
Yeah,
it looks like Heavy Metal magazine, right? So just like weird fantasy indie comics-ish enough for me to kind of like it. Almost like a little Mobius, even with like the sets.
Yeah.
And like the creatures and stuff. Just mildly like French fantasy comics or whatever.
Yeah.
But holy shit for the most part.
God, what a notorious piece of shit. It's like an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half.
It's literally like an hour 48 minutes.
It's
fucked. So long. It's nearly 2 hours long.
And there's nothing there. There's literally nothing there.
So completely devoid of substance. It's like the driest Christmas special you've ever watched, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
Well,
it is truly peerless in terms of just how fucking inane it is.
You know how there's that 4chan post of the Amanda Anaconda? No, what is it?
Angela Anaconda.
Angela Anaconda Digimon skit ruined my fucking family's marriage.
Yeah.
I wonder if the grandpa VR porn
ruined somebody's
marriage too, because it's like, Mom, Dad, I love Star Wars. There's a holiday Star Wars special going on. Let's watch it. And then
my parents went insane and beat each other as I watched Star Wars. But holy crap, was that ever awful. It was like, we couldn't get through the whole thing. Like, my friend Jera, who was watching it with us, was like, they were legitimately excited for it, and I was almost kind of on the same board, too, because I was kind of like, I was feeling mildly nostalgic for it, for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I was just in, like, the wrong frame of mind.
This is why you don't trust nostalgia.
Exactly. This is why nostalgia is a fucking smokescreen. But Jera, who had never seen it before in their defense, was like, I really want to watch it. Because Jera thought that it was going to be funny.
No.
And I was like...
That's the thing.
It's not.
You go in being like, there has to be... Like, it's got to be so bad that it's funny.
It's good, but it's not. It's not even so bad it's good. It's not even... So bad. It's just so bad it sucks.
I'm so glad that you watched this because I fucking totally fucking mentally checked out and forgot that I watched it. I watched the whole goddamn thing though.
I 100% checked out 30 minutes, like less than 30 minutes in, and I was like, no more. And it stinks because there are people in it who are, oh god, the
cooking show part where he's and now we're gonna whoop and skip and doop a doop a doop. It's like it feels fucking improvised almost, and you're just like, oh my god.
It's definitely like,
was he in blackface?
Designed to waste your, I kind of, yes.
Yeah, like a little bit, right?
It feels designed to waste your time.
It's
like,
so fucking weird.
And waste my time, it did.
And this was supposed to generate hype.
No, it was
for the next
for
movie.
Empire, yeah. No, I know it was such a miscalculation. I'm surprised it didn't kill Star Wars dead in the water right there.
Well, because they had already made so much money that they probably didn't care.
Everyone and like, people wanted those damn toys, man.
Yeah, if ever you wanted a case study for cocaine, this is why you can't do too much cocaine when you make a lot of money. It's definitely this one.
I have literally only done coke once in my entire life. It was a pretty bad experience, and I never want to do it ever again. But I can't even imagine how much coke you have to be on to creatively shit this out. It's remarkable.
Trust me, it's a lot, and it's not good.
It's not good. I feel like you were probably halfway at one point to making your own Star Wars holiday special.
I have some old script ideas that I looked back on and said, what?
Wig.
Yeah.
But anyway, I watched the shitty Star Wars holiday special. It sucked the life out of me. Like some kind of vampire like siphoning my fucking energy. So I decided to like put on a palate cleanser, and I watched the Lego Star Wars holiday special, which just came out. This was extremely pleasant and nice, and very much the opposite in terms of actually really being a good story about like because Star Wars is like so much of it is about family, right? And what are like the holiday seasons if not about family for the most part?
Capitalism.
For people who don't see their families often, it's like the one time a year where you can make the excuse to see your family. So I feel like making it actually focus on family, like with the original one even, is a pretty good idea, but it's in the execution that these two things differ so wildly. Yeah. And whereas like the Star Wars holiday special is like this coked out late 70s fucking nightmare fuel. God. This is like the most pristine, polished, perfectly friendly and nice, and not terribly reverent take on Star Wars, and I could really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Like the other one is, I'd consider it irreverent as well, but to like an insulting degree, where it kind of just like makes the movies look like a fucking joke. Yeah. Which, they are, because they're kids' movies and they're meant to be fun. But, like, I wouldn't, I don't want even, like, something like a holiday special probably shouldn't undermine the very little integrity that your thing has.
Yeah.
Versus, like, this being, like I said, just super controlled and friendly, but at the same time, just irreverent enough for it to be, like, full of really, really good-natured jabs at like the current state of Star Wars as a series. There's a great little gag where like a lot of the story of this focuses on Rey after the Rise of Skywalker, training Finn to be a Jedi and feeling really like incompetent because she kind of lost all of her teachers really early, and so she is kind of like not intentionally but unwittingly dropping the ball in her training of Finn because she's so in on herself about how not good a teacher she is that she is just becoming a bad teacher. Mm-hmm. So she goes out to kind of discover like the secret to teaching Finn how to be a Jedi that like actually is going to like succeed and do well. Like she wants to find like basically the shortcut to being a good teacher.
Okay, yeah.
So she goes out and finds like this force crystal that allows her to travel back in time. And she uses, which is a thing that they have in Star Wars Rebels anyway. Like it's actually a canonical thing that the Force is capable of crossing like space-time at this point.
Yeah, can we just take a quick break? I gotta go pee really bad.
Super cool.
Sorry, there's no holding this one.
there's no holding this one back.
Oh, God. Okay, sorry about that. So, yes.
Don't worry about it. So, yeah, it's this time crystal that Rey uses to go back in time allows Rey to, like, see how these predecessor Jedi taught their students. And it's just kind of a bunch of very funny kind of gags about, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi as a Padawan being kind of impatient and whiny, and Qui-Gon Jinn just being like, please let us just do this, please.
Can we just
get this over of course with? Like Anakin and Obi-Wan bantering at one another and shit like that. But then like what happens is Rey goes a little too crazy with the time travel, ends up making it so that Palpatine gets his hands on this crystal and is trying to kind of rewrite so it kind of becomes like an It's a Wonderful Life idea for like Star Wars almost. Okay. It's neat. It's full of like the time travel but Christmas stuff that you expect from like either stuff like It's a Wonderful Life or like A Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
Where they're using the time travel as a way to like have the characters experience some introspection. But it's pretty good. It's cute. It's funny. Lots of great jokes at the expense of Star Wars and its current state. Funny, like, I guess, little bit where, like, a bunch of characters all now time traveling together in, like, a big time traveling fight are, like, fighting their way through, like, a force portal, and they just kind of fall into the town from The Mandalorian, and they see the little baby Yoda, and they're like, aww. They all stop to just coo at it for a second, and then continue fighting.
Cute.
Pretty good. I don't know. I thought it was, like, a great, like, family Christmas special. And if you want to watch a holiday thing that's Star Wars, it exists.
Definitely go for the latter. Trust us.
They still go for stuff like Life Day and Chewie's Family, too. Like, they make a lot of jokes about the original special. Billy D. Williams is in it as Lando. Oh. They sing a Huttese version of Jingle Bells.
Oh, my God.
Like, it's pretty great. I thought it was wonderful. Yeah. Poe is, like, obsessed with making, like, a Life Day party that, like, everybody can enjoy, but his like control freak nature makes him do stupid shit just to kind of get it done.
Yeah,
which is cute. It's very adorable. I really liked it a lot. Also, like, all of the characters that got mildly shafted in The Rise of Skywalker actually have like significant roles in this. Like even Rose.
Oh God,
poor
okay.
Rose.
Yeah, wow.
Poor Rose. Holy shit, did they just mistreat Rose? But Rose actually gets shit to do in this, and she's even played by Kelly Marie Tran, which is like good for Kelly.
Nice.
I love her, and I thought she was really good.
Can you?
Did
they get John Boyega?
John Boyega. They didn't get John Boyega to play Finn, but they got a guy who does a really good John Boyega impression.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like John Boyega's fucking done.
He's done. So is, even Oscar Isaac, who did do some like outside of the movies voice acting work for Star Wars, like with Star Wars Resistance TV show, which he was really good in, by the way. I recommend Resistance. It's an interesting and unconventional Star Wars show. It feels really different from the other ones, but it's like a lot of good sound-alike voice actors, I guess. Like the guy who does like Vader does a really good James Earl Jones. The guy doing all of these, all these other characters, the guy doing Poe sounds like a pretty good, like if they needed Poe in a cartoon, this is a good cartoon Poe. Same thing with Finn. You need a cartoon Finn, this is a good one. Kylo Ren, same thing. This is a good cartoon Kylo Ren. Of course, the guy who plays Palpatine, I swear to God, almost feels like he's trying to go for the Palpatine from like the Robot Chicken shorts, where he's played by Seth MacFarlane.
They should have gone for the
where he's just like a total fucking goofball. He feels like the Worthy Kids Palpatine.
Okay, yeah, they should have gone for the Plinkett Review Palpatine.
He almost feels like that Palpatine too. He feels like he's totally like what people feel Palpatine is like versus what he's actually like, Which is why it's really funny, because he's just taken to like this next level and exaggerated super crazily. But yeah, I thought it was a really fun movie. Now that we're all through with this shit, let's get into like the meat of stuff, and the meat is the news.
Oh God.
I feel like the first bit of news, just because like we are required by RPG law to say it, is fucking Sephiroth is in Smash. Holy shit.
I'm so happy. I was very happy.
That's really great.
Did you see his fucking chiseled abs?
Yes. He's so fucking handsome. Holy crap. I love the sexy anime man. We need more sexy anime men in games.
They couldn't put Mai in because anime is for good boys and girls, but the Sephiroth trailer is age-locked.
That's super funny.
Isn't it?
I mean, he does murder fucking Mario in it. Violently.
He doesn't. He misses.
But it looks like he kills
him. The funniest thing about that Mario shit is that Mario's still on the end of the sword when him and fucking Cloud clash, and then when they clash away, Mario just goes fucking flying towards the screen. It's like, it's 8 frames, I think, or some shit. Like, it's super quick, but it's super fucking funny. fucking love that trailer. I watched it like 5 times. I don't even play Smash. I like Sephiroth.
Yeah, Sephiroth good.
So yeah, Sephiroth is in Smash. Nintendo hates Smash.
Nintendo hates the Smash community. I feel like this has been
what is there
to say about this? We've been new, yeah. Like Nintendo has never been kind to like fan communities who want to like show support for not just older versions of their games, but like their shit in general by throwing things like tournaments and like organizing, ways for people to play these games together.
Don't get me wrong, I hate the Smash community too, but don't be Nintendo about it. Just call them stinky and move on.
Exactly. I don't like melee tards as much as anybody else, but at the same time,
let them have their thing.
Let them have their little stinky subculture on their own. It's fine.
They just got rollback.
They're not hurting anybody except themselves and their own taste. So let them do this.
There's an argument to be made there, but
I suppose with the very clear exception of the people who are legitimately hurting other people in horrible ways.
Which the list is a little bit too long to be comforting, but whatever.
Good Christ almighty, sorry, that missed me.
Don't worry, I think about it every time I think about it, or every time I talk about this fucking game.
I guess I just kind of like turn that shit off, but all of this is to say that Nintendo, just let the Melee idiots enjoy their Melee. What the fuck are you doing this ridiculous amount of corporate
You can't even smell them in your Tokyo
DMCA,
towers.
Yeah, DMCA slamming any kind of Smash tournament
DMCA
is such a bad look.
The DMCA shit's getting really bad on Twitch too.
It is
like
really bad,
everything.
I feel like a lot of that has to do with Twitch, though.
Oh yeah, it is.
The way Twitch is structured as a platform.
Well, I mean, just how aggressive it's getting though is also nuts. Like,
it's quite bad.
Someone got DMCA'd for police sirens in a game.
For police sirens.
Yeah.
That's the sound of the police.
There was also someone who got DMCA'd because they were playing Phantasm or whatever the fucking no, that's a movie. God, whatever, some fucking horror game where you're a ghost hunter and they were whispering, and apparently them and their friends whispering sounded too much like some fucking yoga instructor doing some spoken word shit. So they got DMCA'd for that, even though it was literally just them whispering.
Okay,
yeah, no, it's aggressive. I haven't played Bennett Foddy's Getting Over It game.
It sounds insane
because it plays like 1920s songs, which technically is fair use, but I got DMCA'd on Twitch.
Just totally
like my Twitch
wild.
VOD got DMCA'd, so I was like, okay, well, whatever.
So yeah, it has been a week for a lot of shit.
It's also I didn't stream the Game Awards.
I did do that.
Well, I didn't stream it. I watched it, but I didn't.
I watched them. I didn't stream them. Yeah. What were your takes on the Game Awards? Pretty much all bullshit.
The Last of Us 2 sucks.
It sucks that it won so much.
I felt the same way about.
Look at how gross.
Yeah, like they crunch. I felt the same way about Red Dead Redemption 2 earlier.
Yeah,
like last
just
year.
Like the games where the employees are forced to crunch should not win awards like Best Direction.
Yeah, well, also what the fuck does Best Direction
if you're
mean?
Crunching.
Like, it's such a nothing fucking category.
Well, like, I guess it's an award they want to give to game directors who purport themselves to be auteurs.
Yeah, but that's just Game of the Year.
But that's the thing, in maybe the most collaborative medium of all time, to try and set yourself up as like an auteur game developer when you work for a AAA company is so like it's fame whoring.
Yeah, like,
and it's disgusting and really like it's really unabashed and shameless.
And there's like, I don't know. That's the thing. Like the Game Awards, I don't really care about. Even fucking Mortal Kombat 11.
I feel like it has the potential to send at least a good message to the public that video games. Like the video game community to an extent can have something like this.
Yeah,
and people
it's
can
cool.
be recognized for that. That's good.
And Jeff does good work. Jeff, bless his heart, he tries his damnedest. It's not him voting for the fucking things.
It's absolutely not. But it's so like there should be rules about which developers get to qualify for awards like this,
especially for something like Best Direction when your team crunched themselves to oblivion.
Yeah, I think it sends a really, really bad message when you say that a game where like the entire like dev team, with the exception of the upper people who are basically not doing any work, get to be called like, you know, Best Direction when they literally weren't able to like see their fucking family and weren't being paid equitable wages for the amount of work they were doing.
Yeah, what was it?
That sends such a shit message.
Rockstar was like, hey, if anyone's doing, like, you know, 100-hour work week, don't worry. We hired some people to bring you clothes to your home, to do your laundry, and bring them back. And you're like,
that's really
what?
gross,
I'm not going to have time to do my fucking laundry?
That's so fucking... that is the gross from a hygiene standpoint,
yeah.
But that's gross from a moral standpoint, too. Mm-hmm. That's fucking disgusting.
And then The Last of Us 2 just being
what it is.
It's like a fucking wet fart in narrative.
It is. It is. I guess you could probably argue, we both have the same opinion on the game. You could probably argue to like hell and back the merits of that kind of storytelling, because it's pretty, I guess in the end it's pretty subjective. Like there's no objectively good way to tell a story about trauma. But I feel like there are ways to make a story like that feel less exploitative. Mm-hmm. And The Last of Us 2, to me, feels very exploitative. Well,
especially how The Last of Us 2, like, does things where it's like, oh, this dog's gonna attack you. Oh, you killed this dog. Its owner's gonna come out and cry because you killed it. Don't you feel bad for killing the dog that you didn't really have a choice of killing? Don't you feel bad?
I feel like these decisions creatively really do make the game feel like the video game's version of Oscar bait.
Yeah, either Oscar bait or like
forcing a dramatic or serious confrontation or narrative plot point or whatever in order to sell you on the gravity of the story and the stakes being heavy, when the reality is that it's entirely constructed. This reality that you're trying to sell to me as heavy is entirely fictional. And none of this shit feels natural or diegetic. It feels scripted, and it feels not just like exploitative from like a storytelling standpoint, like I meant before, but it feels like manipulative.
Yeah,
like it feels very transparently emotionally manipulative. So I feel like that's the sort of thing that we criticize filmmakers for doing all the time.
Yeah.
Why do we not criticize game devs for making the same creative choices?
I mean, at the same time, like, I understand it kind of in a video game standpoint, because it's very hard to, like, create multiple branching paths to a thing where people have, like, free choice, and, like, I don't think we're super there yet. So I do understand it, but having,
we're not quite there,
like, forcing this, like, don't you feel bad? Don't you... We programmed this to make you feel horrible about a thing you didn't have a choice.
I certainly feel bad that I had to kill the dog that I wasn't given a choice to kill.
Yeah, now I'm gonna kill the owner. Fuck it, I didn't care.
Yeah, because this game's messaging on morality is extremely mixed, and the choice that you're given is only an illusion, and it seems like that's not the intent. You know, mm-hmm. The intent of the game isn't for it to be about the illusion of choice in dire circumstances. It's supposed to be about you confronting dire circumstances and making choices, not about you being presented with Sophie's choices, you know? Like it's really it's just a very disingenuous way to market a game and to kind of expect people to take your art seriously when you're falling into the same bad like writing conventions and narrative like holes that worse movies that we criticize often fall into. Is, I think, makes you kind of look like an idiot, and it makes people like Neil Druckmann look fucking stupid and like they don't know what they're doing, you know? It makes them look like this whole idea of them being artistes is just a really, really elaborate and kind of bad smokescreen.
Yeah. You know what's even funnier, though?
It's so goofy.
You know what's even funnier than that?
All of the CD Projekt Red shit?
No. Well, that's pretty fucking funny, too. We'll get into that.
That is pretty fucking funny. We're gonna leave that to the very end.
But
what is this?
You know what's really funny is when people are upset that The Last of Us 2 won best game development because they crunched so much and ruined like a bunch of workers' lives and shit. Well, probably not their lives, but like their mental health for sure. Allegedly,
mental health affects your
allegedly,
life.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Is when you come out and you decide to white knight. God, what
a fucking AAA video game company?
Yeah. A AAA video game company.
Naughty Dog. Yeah, when you come out in full paladin's armor with lance and shield held abreast and to defend the multi-million-dollar corporation.
But wait, it gets better because when you are defending this Naughty Dog from the blasts of people, which is totally granted, and you're out here saying, "Shut up. You don't know what it takes to ship a game." Sure, there's a couple of disgruntled employees, but I'm sure it doesn't count for the overall morale of the company. Blah blah blah.
Are you reading a real comment?
Oh, hold on. I'll actually try to find the actual comment because who said it makes it even funnier.
Please tell me who said this.
Hold on. I gotta find the.
I'm probably gonna lose my goddamn mind.
You
laughing.
will as soon as I tell you. I can't believe you missed this because I retweeted it.
Retweeted. I
retweeted it. Yes, give me just a second while I find my fucking goddamn shit. I apologize, everyone listening right now. Hold on, I'm gonna read this verbatim because it is pretty fucking good. I have to find the actual.
Read the whole thing, and then at the end, tell me who said it.
Oh, fuck off! You have no idea what it takes to ship. World-beating AAA games, and you take the word off. You take the word of disgruntled. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. You take the word of disgruntled ex-employees versus the hundreds that are happy there. Also, comparing a 20-man indie to a 300-person studio is stupid. Famously said by none other than a wonderful game director who has had no problems shipping any game at all, George Broussard, mastermind of Duke Nukem Forever.
You're fucking kidding.
Which took 15 years to come out.
Stones and Glass Houses, George. Holy shit.
I literally I screen capped how long did Duke Nukem take to develop, and it just says 15 years under the direction of game industry icon George Broussard, and I was like, "This you?"
Oh my god, this you?
This you? It was so bad that Randy Pitchford had to step in to help.
Damn.
And it still sucked.
Damn. When Pitchford couldn't even save that shit.
Well, it's because there were like the game was supposed to come out in like fucking 98 or some shit.
Yeah, no, it was what a fucking disaster. So George Broussard. Holy shit.
Notorious piece of shit. Got addicted to WoW. Switched engines, I shit you not, probably 5 times in those 15 years. Like, every time there was a new engine, he was like, oh, we gotta use this. It looks so much better. And you're like, no, but we have half the game made, George.
Yeah, maybe it won't work in this other engine. Shut up.
And then it didn't.
Work. It didn't work. So shockingly, to my surprise and awe, it didn't work.
So yeah, when it took you 15 years to ship one game, I don't think you get to step in and white knight for Naughty Dog.
No, that's really very funny. I must say. Who
not jokingly, but who ironically delayed indefinitely, and then the game was out a week later, and you're like, well, okay.
Just a completely. What a farcical situation. Yeah. This reads like I couldn't make this shit up.
Speaking of delayed indefinitely.
Speaking of delayed indefinitely.
You know who should have delayed indefinitely?
Oh yeah, the folks over at CD Projekt Red.
The pile. Boy. I thought we were gonna have a bit to talk about still. Turns out we have a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about, but then it just abruptly stops.
Well, I mean. For now, there could still. It depends how public all this shit is.
This is probably going to be like a Fallout 78 situation.
76, which is funny that it's Cyberpunk 2077.
76. True. This is 76, 78. Who gives a shit?
Well,
this is going to be like a Fallout. This is going to be like a Fallout 76 thing.
This is already worse. We're
probably be hearing about it for months. No, but that's the thing. But it's in the sense that it's going to go on forever.
I don't know. I think the dam erupted today.
Let's talk a little bit about
recap.
what happened
we
in
talked,
the time.
We talked like a good hour about this last bonus round, actually. So if you want the first part of this conversation, I couldn't help myself.
We were kind of a little unrepentant there. But it was worth it because it was so fresh.
I felt that this was gonna happen too. I was like, this is gonna get really, really bad.
And really fast.
And it did.
Again, it did.
I didn't think it was going to get this bad, though. So to cap off where we left off last time.
I don't think I could have predicted it getting delisted from the PlayStation
That's
Store.
the thing, right? So after we recorded the bonus round,
that.
CD Projekt Red releases a statement where they're... Or maybe while we recorded the last bonus round. I think we may have talked about it, but Sony didn't make a move yet. They released a statement. They were like, oh, if you want refunds, talk to Sony or Microsoft. We're not handling that. They are
fucking not taking any responsibility.
No, they are now. They're paying out of pocket the refunds, but
but when they were saying
saying that they were
their initial stance on this is going to be like, we're not even going to deal with that shit, and that was shut down so fucking fast.
It's so funny because like a day later, not even, Sony was like, hey, we're refunding everyone for CD Projekt Red's fucking Cyberpunk 2077, which they never do. Sony's fucking shit is so hard to get a refund on. So that
have you ever seen Sony give a refund mass like this ever? No, and for good reason, because it's pretty much against their policy.
And also, like, the thing about this is, you know what I think Sony said? I think Sony said, oh, we're getting an influx of this. What the hell is happening? Oh, here's the tweet from CD Projekt Red. Oh, go see Sony? Okay. Yeah, we'll give you your refund. We're unlisting your game. Go fuck yourself.
Yep.
They got pissed. And
they burnt a bridge, man.
and then a day later, Microsoft was like, we are giving refunds for CD Projekt Red, blah, blah, blah. They didn't unlist, but I think they didn't unlist because they have such a big ad campaign with Microsoft. They have a literal Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox One, which is hilarious because it doesn't run on that fucking console. Like, it runs like shit. It's fucking useless. Even the graphics card, the NVIDIA graphics card that, like, they released a Cyberpunk 2077 fucking graphics card and it doesn't fucking run the game good.
Oh my god.
And you have Pat from Castle Super Beast that has, like, a god tier computer with all the greatest parts unimaginable, and he can't even get a steady 60 at 1080 low.
I can't believe it.
It's fucked up.
Oh my god. This shit, like I said, you can't make it up. It writes itself. Because
it's just so...
I could have never imagined it being this bad.
I literally, the last time it was this bad was E.T.
Yeah, probably, actually. I think E.T. on the Atari 2600 was probably the most controversial game ever. Until
Cyberpunk, the most anticipated game. You know what the most fucked part is too? People are like, oh, well, like, what did you expect? It wasn't supposed to run good on the fucking last gen consoles anyway. It was a PC SKU. And
it wasn't supposed to run good. It was at least supposed to run.
But no, the worst thing is this game was announced before the PS4 was even fucking viable in like 2013.
I know. And the worst fucking part is that, like, you
are day one against this.
I was day one against buying this,
and you were so right. You fucking called this shit.
I really
for
did.
Wrong reasons.
I will for different reasons, mind you, but the reasons that are all still present in the game, might I add.
Yes, true.
Just I didn't. You know, I predicted the transphobia. I didn't predict people looking like PS1 Hagrid.
No,
but like,
well, like that's the thing. I was super in until Final Fantasy VII-R pushed their date back to April, and then Cyberpunk would have came out a week later, and then Cyberpunk within like I think it was like 2 hours.
Can you imagine?
It would have been
if they had released this earlier.
Shit.
You think the game doesn't work now? Probably wouldn't even fucking turn on.
Yeah,
if they had released it 2 months prior.
And that's the thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, well, they were super rushed." And then you have the conference call coming out where they were like, "Yeah, no, we were fine. We could have delayed it forever." Honestly.
Yeah. So this conference call shit is fucking hilarious because almost every single like major argument that the people who want to argue in favor of CD Projekt Red,
the conference call just throws it out the window.
Completely contradicted by this conference call. It took too much time. Actually, they were like, we have time for days. We're just not going to actually do anything.
Oh yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention too is like people were like, oh well, it's PC SKU. Of course, it's going to look like shit on the PS4. You know what doesn't look like shit on the PS4? Final fucking Fantasy VII fucking remake looks amazing.
Yeah, that game looks incredible on the PS4.
I'm so mad.
And not even just on the PS4 Pro, on the regular ass vanilla PS4. That game runs good, looks good, plays good.
Which is what I played the demo on, which is all I've played so far. But, like, it ran great.
It works.
You know what sucks?
Cyberpunk doesn't do work.
Yeah, you know what sucks about the Cyberpunk shit? Is that
everything?
That video that came out like 2-3 months ago where it was like, here's Cyberpunk running on the PS4 that doesn't even look like the fucking PC.
Yeah.
And like if it was just small bugs or whatever, it would be fine. But you have game breaking shit like endings dying. You have water loading in super late in a couple of videos.
You have textures not even loading at all.
You know what my favorite one is?
What?
If your save file goes over 8 megabytes on PC, your save file is done.
Wow.
It just dies.
That's wild.
You know what? CD Projekt...
I saw somebody lose, like, I think they said 3 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, because the ending dies.
Crashed.
Yeah,
yeah,
because the ending dies.
Holy shit.
My favorite thing, though, is CD Projekt's Red reply to this was... hold on, I'm going to try to find it. I'm going to try to find the actual quote, because it's fucking horrible.
Horrible in terms of funny as well, I must say. Oh, as somebody who is not a big CD Projekt Red fan, I honestly couldn't wish
again. I was
for a better field day.
I was super stoked up until they delayed with the final.
They literally make the Witcher stupid and bad.
Yeah,
and they turn such great, highly leftist, highly really great fantasy novels into stupid like fap garbage. And now this. Just like, y'all deserve this. I'm sorry. Yeah. You brought it on yourselves. You deserve this fucking fire.
Hold on. I'm trying to find the actual quote. Okay, yeah, so basically if you craft too many things and load and save too much, because every load recreates your crafting item thing.
Okay.
So if you load too much, your save will just die because it duplicates the amount of items you have every single time.
That is such a basic programming bug to fix.
Yeah, well, that's why there's no quick load. So yeah,
no quick load is such a band-aid solution to this easily avoidable problem.
Hold on, I gotta find the actual one because this is not it. Cyber CDPR.
Wild.
It's fucking insulting what they say. It's so fucked. That's not it. God, okay, I'm gonna kind of do this off of memory because I can't seem to find it. But essentially, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna try to fix the save files. We're sorry about that, but once we do fix it, your save files will still be fucked. We recommend you don't play past the ending of the game. You don't craft too many items to make too much money. And, like, if you go to a doctor and you're like, hey, this hurts, and he says, well, don't do this, just don't do it. That's part of the cure.
Don't play our game to continue playing our game.
Yeah, like, don't play our game too much. So just start a new game. Just
start a new game. They are so fucked.
Yeah. And then there was
the Eurojank argument of like, oh, they're janky. It's just Eurojank. You know, I've played Eurojank. This is not Eurojank. This is broken. This game is broken.
This game is so fucking broken that investors are making a class action lawsuit. And, you know, like personal level class action lawsuits rarely go anywhere. I think people won against Nintendo back for Mario Party like
for
1 or 2 for the sticks, because like people would literally tear their hands open. But investor ones hit a little different, especially when there's literal fraud involved, which I'm pretty sure with how they handled everything there was.
They're absolutely. I mean, it's not even uncommon for there to be shell companies involved in the investment of AAA video games. Like, it's just common practice in all forms of like capitalistic trade now. But I would not be surprised if there's like some legit dirty money in this game, specifically because of how kind of fucked Poland is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And these games are genuinely important to the Polish economy. Like, CD Projekt Red is probably behind Poland's biggest cultural export of the last 2 decades.
Oh yeah, no, they made mad money.
Yeah, this is. I would not be surprised if there was you know, government tax money, and like Polish people's tax money put into this game that probably disappeared into other shit.
Yeah,
you know, I would not be fucking surprised. There's just so much sketchy shit going on with this game, from the bottom to the top in terms of from the devs, all like the lowest paid devs all the way to the top level, like directors and shit and producers. There is like this game is like top to bottom fucked. I honestly, like I said, I as somebody who doesn't love CD Projekt Red, I couldn't ask for like a bigger field day. But I feel bad for the people who were suckered into the hype.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel genuinely bad for them.
At the same time, CDPR can't get away from controversy, because while this whole cyberpunk shit is going on, I think this is one that you may have missed.
Maybe. Let's hear it.
But while this whole cyberpunk shit is going on, they announced that they were going to be having Devotion on their GOG platform, right? Which, you know, is their distributor thing. GOG is
Devotion is going to be on GOG?
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
That's because I'm like, Devotion can exist again?
Hold on.
Continue.
So yeah, Taiwanese developer Red Candle's game, Devotion.
It's
GOG was like, we're gonna have it. No stress. We got it. It's coming.
And we're not. I'm not kidding or paraphrasing or embellishing when I say that Devotion is probably one of the best horror games ever made.
Yeah.
But because it's made by a Taiwanese studio, and because it discusses issues of mainland China's relationship to Taiwan and to Taiwanese culture.
We'll get there. Hold on.
Yeah,
it's coming. It's coming.
It is a controversial game.
It is coming. So GOG announces Devotion. Hours later, GOG says, after receiving many messages from gamers.
And by gamers, we mean
the Chinese government.
Chinese oligarchy.
We have decided to not list our game in the store, to which everyone, including me on Twitter, went in and went,
what the fuck?
Don't think that's really what happened, but okay.
Yeah.
For anyone who's unfamiliar.
So obvious.
Devotion, very good looking horror game. Has a Winnie the Pooh moron reference to the president of China, which is why, of course, China is very adamant about not having it sold there.
Which
China
is like,
probably said, if you post this game, we will not let GOG exist in China. And GOG said, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. The Chinese market is the second biggest gaming market in the world now.
Oh, did we talk about the Monster Hunter shit?
After the Korean market, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But did we talk about the Monster Hunter shit too?
Do
you know about the Monster Hunter
first.
shit? Yeah, we'll get through this first.
Is it related?
Huh?
Is it related to this?
What?
is it related to
yes.
all of this shit?
Yes.
Okay, well then we can segue right in.
Yeah, we'll segue after a bit. But yes, so amidst all of this, CDPR getting a bunch of backlash for not only just Cyberpunk, but now being huge cowards.
Massive fucking cowards.
Massive cowards. And they're probably like, we got to make up the loss for Cyberpunk somewhere, so we got to stay in China. So yes, segueing off of this and continuing a bit with the China thing, Monster Hunter got like completely banned in China. The movie.
I did. Oh, is that because of that line?
Yes.
That I believe a Chinese actor even speaks.
What kind of knees?
He says Chinese, right?
Yeah, he says Chinese.
It's such an innocuous joke.
It's
not a clever joke. It's not funny even.
I don't,
because it's a Paul W.S. Anderson movie joke.
Yeah,
but like,
and it's in the first 5 minutes of the movie. You know what makes it even better?
I know. I wonder if it was a joke written by a white writer or improvised by the Asian actor.
Well, I mean, you know what the thing that's very funny about this is that a lot of the money for the movie came from China too. Like,
that's not a surprise.
The investors,
Paul W. Yeah,
and you're like,
Paul W.
how did
Anderson
this?
Was clearly trying to make a movie for the Chinese market.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, even with like the themes that it's going for, like, you can tell when an American
that shit's out, by the way.
An American or yeah, I heard
it made 2.2 million in its first weekend. Rip.
God damn.
On a 60 million budget, it made 10 mil worldwide.
Holy shit. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a flop.
That is not MCU unit numbers.
But all of this is to say, this is like you can tell when a Western film company is making a movie specific for the Chinese market, because there's like 5 or 6 tells that are very obvious, and one of them is like actually having Asian people in the cast.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, if you watch a movie made in America for an American audience, as shitty as it is, the reality is that there's probably not going to be any Asian characters of any significance.
Another big tell is not having any black people in your cast either.
Yeah, because it's just historically and unfortunately socially true that like African Americans and people of African descent in general are just kind of not. They don't exist in China. Have
you seen the Chinese version of the Force Awakens poster?
Oh boy, yeah. That is pretty embarrassing, I have to say.
Probably why he's so pissed about everything, TBH.
Yeah. Which is it's pretty funny to think, considering that, you know, like a lot of Asian countries have like differing but typically negative attitudes towards like things that star primarily people of African descent or African Americans, yet want to crimp so wholeheartedly from like black cultural exports too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes me think
it's pretty gross.
It makes me think of that my favorite Tyler the Creator bit when he was doing what was this show that he had for a time?
Loiter Squad?
Yeah, Loiter Squad. There's a bit where he goes to China and he scares people in an Iron Man mask with like a full like long sleeve, like you can't see he's black. So he scares people in an Iron Man mask, and then they go, ah ha 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 ha, and he takes the mask off, and then they freak the fuck out and just bolt.
God damn.
And you're just like, oh my god, it's really bad.
That's really embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. So yeah, that's one of the many tells. So you can see, it's pretty obvious that this movie was made for the Chinese market, was made with a lot of money from the Chinese like studios and stuff in order to make a movie that appealed directly to the Chinese market. And the fact that like this stupid innocuous joke sinks it immediately, like it's dead on arrival, is really, I mean, it would have been DOA anyway because COVID, but like the fact that like somebody just couldn't resist putting in a stupid like Asian pun, that it is immediately like destroyed, eviscerated on the internet. And
within like the first 5-10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's not our place as white people to comment on whether or not the comment is offensive or not, because I'm not affected by it, you're not affected by it, whatever. But I do have to say, it is pretty funny to see it so wholeheartedly rejected by the market it was directly made to appeal to.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a good movie. It's not like Anderson deserves to make a movie that's this big.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it. I've watched so much trash that I'm desensitized to like.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I love the Anderson Resident Evil movies. They're not good, but I fucking love them.
Well,
and I think that Anderson has made movies that I'd at least consider mildly enjoyable.
Aliens?
Like, they're pap. No.
Wait, no, that wasn't Paul W.S. Anderson.
That's not Paul W.S. Anderson.
Wait, who was that? No, hold on.
That's James Cameron who made
Yes,
Aliens.
okay, fuck. I'm getting... Sorry, yeah.
Anderson has made shit like the Resident Evil movies.
Cut that out. Cut that out.
He did, I'm leaving it in there just because...
Fuck.
I do find it extremely funny though that he's made some good enjoyable shit, like he makes good schlock, but like
to a certain extent,
I feel like he's at his worst when he's trying to make something that is like clearly and transparently meant to appeal to a particular market, and that's why this sucks so hard. So yeah, it's really quite funny to see like such a seemingly minor element of like an altogether pretty bad movie anyway sink its box office prospects almost entirely
immediately.
Yeah, just because an Asian actor probably improv'd a line that's just a dumb pun, like a really dumb bad dad joke.
Yeah.
Dad jokes killed Monster Hunter, man.
Dad jokes killed Monster Hunter. Well, the movie, not the game. The game's fine. The
game
will be fine forever.
Yeah, Rise is going to come out. Everybody's going to forget that this movie even exists. But
I won't. No, well, you'd think that, but they made an in Monster Hunter World tie-in with the movie where you get a Mila Jovovich skin.
That's kind of dope. I won't lie. I like Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this.
It would be cooler if you could just like run around dressed as her from like the Fifth Element and just say like multipass at people.
Multipass.
Multipass.
You just multipass monsters to death. They're like, I don't know what it means.
Lilu Dallas multipass. It's really funny, but yeah, that's pretty remarkable. I totally forgot that happened because I was so fixated on the Projekt Red garbage. But yeah, no, CDPR. And even American film studios just seem to can't, they seem to not be able to actually compete with like the demands of the Chinese market, because if they want to continue existing in this market, they have to pretty much bend over backwards to appease them, even if it's over minor shit. So yeah, now Devotion is still unlisted on all online platforms.
Yeah.
I wish I could somehow legitimately buy it. You would think that like Nintendo would have it up on the Switch store or something, because they already have Detention up everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's Red Candle's other game. And like also Nintendo doesn't really have a foothold in China. I know they're trying to break into the Chinese market, but like they haven't had a foothold in China for years, and I don't know why they would need one now. Like they always had those Nvidia like consoles and stuff like that they would port their games over to, but they would be licensed by like this other company and ported.
So yeah, like why, Nintendo China relation has been weird for like literally ever. I mean
only because Nintendo Japanese company China is China. I understand why Chinese market in general doesn't go for Japanese things. It's pretty obvious if you know anything about history why the Chinese would probably want nothing to do with Japan.
Yeah.
And Japanese media and Japanese exports, but like even cultural exports like music and cinema and stuff like that go over pretty well there. And there's like huge Chinese fan bases for Japanese products. So I can see why Nintendo would want to build a foothold there, but they kind of already had one. So I don't know why they have to kowtow to the Chinese government's demands, but whatever. You got to make the oligarchy that calls itself a communist country happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'd catch hate for being one of the few leftists who is like, not a super big fan of China, because I don't think we should call countries that operate as oligarchies communist countries.
Yeah,
it's not really communism anymore if you're ruled by an oligarchical hierarchy. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's like being like, well, the Nazis were socialist.
Yeah, that's kind of, to me, it's like, it is like that. I think China as like a communist nation ends with Mao Zedong.
Yeah.
Like, when Mao died, the notion of China existing as a communist country kind of ended. And, you know, like, that's kind of the same thing with the USSR. When Lenin died and Stalin took over, the notion of the USSR really being a communist nation at all
was done.
Just kind of collapsed, because that's when you start seeing those horrible power structures that, like, were being maintained as, like, a means of recourse fully come into power and take over and eventually supersede the actual ideology of the state party, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, they're enticed by the notion of capitalism, but they can't say that they like capitalism because they are supposed to be a communist country. So instead, they disguise their slip into capitalism with, like, really, really, I don't know, convincing and genuinely very well thought out propaganda. And because, I mean, the propaganda
it
in a lot
kills.
of these countries is super powerful. It's super good propaganda. Like, if you were living in these countries, I would not, you know, call you stupid for falling for any of this.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's from an outsider's perspective looking in, it's clear to see that, like, these countries evolved into kleptocracies.
Yeah.
And oligarchies really easily once the people with the actual ideologies, you know, were put out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people who were the ideological leaders of these mass movements and social revolution were pushed aside. You know, suddenly the idealism of these movements has disappeared. But yeah, that's to say that, you know, the Chinese market is a very powerful entity. And it's pretty scary to see how easy just any kind of demand from the Chinese government at all can shut pretty much anything down.
Oh yeah, no, it's an immediate fold.
Yeah, they're the world's foremost economic superpower now, and it's not even like a question about that. So, you know, to the countries that have poor relations with them, I think we're going to start to see a lot of those countries have a really bad time, more so than they've probably already have had, you know? Yeah. And the countries that have good relationships with them, like, you know, most Western nations for the most part, but also, like, there's countries in Africa, like Angola, for instance, which have, like, a communist and socialist past, you know, that have socialist era ties to these countries. You see, like, a lot of Chinese properties being built in Angola, you know, like that sort of stuff. Like, the Chinese government bankrolls like tons of things all across the world. They have a lot of power, and I'm not saying that because I'm like, ooh, I'm scared of the nebulous, like, Chinese shadow of evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not a yellow peril thing. This is just kind of like this is like the economic reality we're living in now. Like, China is the world's foremost superpower, claims to be a communist country, but in reality operates more closely to something like an oligarchy.
Yeah. And,
you know, the fact that they have so much sway over, like, the Western economy is it's frightening. I mean, the capitalism is a scary thing, and the fact that, like, it's so easily malleable and broken is one of the reasons why it's a shitty, awful system. One of the many reasons. And this is, like, a good example of, you know, why capitalism doesn't work, because they say they're all for the free market, but what kind of a market is free if, you know, you can't,
if you're gonna fold,
if you're gonna fold and fall apart like a fucking house of cards. Like, it's so bad. Anyway, I feel like that's a lot for today.
Yeah,
but
how long was this? That's a 2-hour episode.
That's a nice 2-hour long episode.
I mean,
for y'all.
that's what we're getting at usually with these normal episodes now, anyway.
Exactly. So I feel like we can put a cap on it for now, but thank you guys for listening to this very long episode of GamePunx that was full of really good discussions, I think.
Yeah.
And a nice differing amount of discussions, too. We should give ourselves a little pat on the back for that.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to find us anywhere online, you can hit me up at Nouveau Art Punk, all one word, all lowercase, on pretty much all social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. You can get me on Letterboxd if you want to read my very small review of the Star Wars Christmas holiday special.
Is it just no?
I think I said, like, this is less a film and more something to be endured, which is accurate. I felt like I was experiencing Klingon beige when I watched that.
I haven't watched enough Star Trek to know what you're talking about.
Basically, just Klingon torture.
All I know is that Worf sucks.
I like Worf.
Well, I like Worf too, but he gets shafted a lot.
Oh yeah, he does. I think that's just because Rick Berman really hates black people.
Well,
poor Michael Dorn. Poor Michael Dorn had the unfortunate.
I've seen enough. I've seen enough TNG episodes to agree with you.
Yeah, to kind of infer that the black characters in Star Trek were not treated well up into a certain.
You remember
time.
that Utopia episode where they go to that planet where it's all white people and they're like, "We've eliminated all crime by killing everyone who's ever committed a crime," and you're like, "You're all white."
You're all white.
Yeah, this doesn't sit good. And then there's the fucking
very bad.
There's the space the space Abraham Lincoln episode.
No, yeah, that's really bad.
Where he says the N-word, sort of.
Pretty much says the N-word.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Berman era Star Trek is full of that shit.
I know, Anthony's on a binge, and he's been showing me the worst, episodes, and I've just been like, oh my god.
TNG isn't even technically that good a show until, season 3.
Yeah. Well,
when
we
they start
haven't
having
even
a lot
hit
more fun
season
with the
3
characters.
yet. That's the thing. We're just
Yeah,
watching all the fucking bad episodes.
Early TNG is it feels like this is your brain on drugs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's even the episode.
Your brain is an egg cracked into a fucking pan.
There's even the episode where Tasha Yar gets abducted by a bunch of colored people.
Yep, and it's clearly playing on all those disgusting
oh god, it's
stealing
so
the white women tropes.
Fucking blatant.
It's really bad. But yeah, Berman era Trek is full of that shit. That's why a lot of people don't like Star Trek Discovery, but I'm fond of it because I'm like, hey, at least they treat their black characters good.
Yeah.
It's the first Star Trek show in decades to have significant black characters that don't feel like they're consistently getting the shaft. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I gotta say, just hit me up on the internet if you want to do anything fun. If you want to read my letterboxd reviews or anything like that, I'm all over there. I'm the most online fucking person, and it's horrible, but I'm there. So if you want to follow me on all social media, you can find me there. What about you, Ben?
I challenge you. I'm the most online person.
I'm the biggest loser on the
Yeah, I don't talk to anyone in real life. Everything has scratched me silly. I have a Twitch, I have an Instagram, and I have the Bird Twitter.
Bird website.
Yeah, Bird. The Bird app.
The Bird app.
Bird app. I have Bird app.
This fucking Bird website. Yeah.
I'll be back to streaming more regularly after the new year. Things are a little wonky right now. Next week I might do a bunch of days in a row.
Yeah. And we're there's gonna be some free time floating around the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So
well, that's it. It's just I'm off for the next 2 weeks. I have a bunch of days next week. I have my daughter a lot this week, but I have a bunch of days next week, so we can record some shit, and I'll probably stream and edit a fuck ass load of shit that I have in my backup right now.
Hopefully, the next 2 weeks will be productive at least, right?
I'll try.
Yeah, I think we'll both make some kind of an effort to make sure that we get something out.
Yeah,
we can definitely do our best at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, we have a top 10 to do at least.
Yeah, we can do a top 10. We can just do top 10 things, I think, too.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, not top 10 games, top 10, because those get a little long-winded.
I don't even think I played 10 games this year, to be fair.
I played. All of mine are fighting
10 games that came out this year.
Yeah, all of mine are fighting games. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Our top 10 lists are never going to be the year that they came out. It's going to be shit that we played that year.
Just shit that we played this year. Yeah. That's why I say that we're not a current affairs gaming podcast and never will be.
Mildly, but not quite.
Only in the sense that we talk about current news, but when are we playing current games? Hell no, not most of the time.
Well, Dragon, like a dragon. It depends. That's the thing. There's always that one game where you're like, I will spend the $80 I don't have on this game because I need it.
The last game I played that felt current, I think, is Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, exactly.
That's by virtue of it slotting directly into
and I think that came out a week before Like a Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, you guys can hit us up on social media. We're going to have a lot of fun the next couple weeks, I think, just kind of getting shit out there. Happy Snowflake Day. Enjoy your traditional secular holiday. I hope you get to enjoy Snowflake Jake's Christmas. Oops, I said the bad word. Snowflake Jake's Snowflake Day special on TV, which is definitely a real thing that exists and not just a thing from Clone High. Yeah. And that you all enjoy your secular holiday times that are non-specific, and you enjoy your lamb tacos and your gifts of spices. Enjoy your secular holiday.
Do it.
We now return to Snowflake Jake Saves Snowflake Day.
Any last words, Santa Claus, Bradlestein, and King Kwanzaa? It be time for you and your exclusionary holidays to walk the plank.
Jake, don't kill us. We realize that the harmless celebration of our religions is oppressive.
Dradelstein, sorry. Gimmel.
Your way is right and our way is wrong.
Oh, not wrong. Just specific. And specificity be the enemy of unity. Now, let us all join in a traditional, all religions are equally valid Snowflake Day celebratory cabbage patch.
Licky, 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 licky.